by closing all the primary and secondary schools.
COVID-19 changed the world. With economies down to their knees to worship the pandemic. Panic and anxiety set in, with nations testing the might of their health systems through try and error. In Uganda, the deadly scourge set foot in March 2020. Unprepared, schools were earmarked as unsafe places.
It is wise that we temporarily remove these concentration points by closing all the primary and secondary schools, pre-primary, as well as all the universities and tertiary institutions for 1 month, starting with Friday, the 20th of March, 2020, starting at midday.
The measure left over 15 million school-going children countrywide at home. But hey, is someone watching for the action substituting class? We are yet to tell. Busia district borders Uganda to Kenya. We interest ourselves in investigating to answer the above question. From a source who prefers to remain anonymous, we are tipped off about a new young mother, Betty, not her real name. She is a 16-year-old mother who welcomed her firstborn at the beginning of December 2020. If you do the maths, well, she conceived between March and April 2020. By the time of the presidential directive to close all schools temporarily, Betty had just started her first term of Primary 7 at Buwaniha Primary School, 27 kilometers away from Busia town. It is still unclear now, like it was then, on what to do next. Betty's mother, Muwanguzi Evelyn, thought it wise to send her daughter to her sister's home where she could help out in housework, but just for a few weeks.
Kati sister wange nagamba omukwano gwa sister wange nagamba jangu mwana yagira abeerako eno kunonese sente kati yawo lockdown netuuka.
Mondika is a village 5 kilometers away from Busia border post into the Kenyan territory. The school closure was followed by a nationwide lockdown with restricted movements, most especially cross-border movements. This means Betty was left no choice but to settle in with her aunt in Kenya. As days followed nights, she met friends in the neighborhood. Among the new friends was an identified lover, a one Victor Ocheng. Betty met him in Mondika. It's with whom she had her first sexual encounter.
Alikuwa tu boyfriend wangu, nikaenda tu kumtembelea. But vile alinipatia mimba, nikamwambia, akaniambia hiyo mimba si yake, mimi pia nikanyamaza. Alikujanga huko mahali penye tulikuanga huko kwa shasha yangu. Walikuwa tu just wanaishi tu huko karibu.
Unprotected sex bears deadly consequences like pregnancy, STDs, among others. But did Betty know this?
Mwalimu alituambia kama unalala na mwanaume, basi kama unaenda kumtembelea, usiailala naye, ujui kama anaweza kuwa na ukimwi ama tu vitu zingine. Basi akatukataza. Katambia kuna vitu zenye wanatumia. Aliniambianga nijilinde nisome, tutamsaidia. Lakini mwenyewe sijui kitu yenye ilinikuja tu, alafu nikaenda sikujua.
Her first encounter left her confused and alone. She certainly confirmed seeing her body change.
Nilikuwa tu nasikia poa. But nilijua kama mimba imeshakuwa kubwa. Ndio nikajua, kwa sababu kwenda period siku zingine nilipitishanga hadi miezi 2, miezi 3, but nikaona siende period, nikasema washa niende hospitali, but wakanipea ile kitu yenye unaweza pimia. Nikakuja na alafu nikasusia asubuhi hiyo, alafu nikapima, nikajua niko na mimba.
Betty wished she was with her mother, but a phone call was the only possible medium as borders remained closed at that time.
Nikapigia mamangu simu, kaniambia rudi tu.
Nayenga yabagamba omusade tolina kuyisa mwana bubi. Era Vincent kirabo yankubira simu nangamba mama ndi lubuto nasirikire dadika nkama 13. Ekyaddako namugamba komawo. Yasoko kungamba mama yankubira simu nangamba mama nkusaba kisonyiwo. Ne mugamba onsaba kisonyiwo kiki kye wakoze. Nanga mama nsaba kusonyiwo ndi lubuto ne mubuza wategedde otyo nga lubuto.
While in Mondika, she was under the guardianship of her aunt. There is a belief that she was not monitored enough.
Naye yalabanga omwana ng'ageze ng'ambuuza n'emirisa ng'ogeze naye kati engeri gy'atasiibaawo ng'amanyi oluusi kati bbawe yamugamba omwana ono yandiba ali lubuto kubanga omwana ageze nnyo.
Mwanguzi regrets the decision of sending a child to Kenya during the lockdown.
Yawumulangako n'ajjako eno n'andabako n'addayo kati bino byabadde ebiseera bya lockdown ng'abantu tebatambula.
Victor Ocheng, the would-be father to Betty's child. But Betty has since changed her attitude to the father of her baby, who ran away shortly after her pregnancy.
But vile nilirudi, nikaambia kijana mwenye alinipatia mimba niko na mimba. Akaniambia hiyo mimba si yake. Nikamwambia nilipata tu naye, but akaniambia si yake. Mimi pia nikanyamaza. Bila nimpigianga simu akakataa, akaniweka kwa blacklist, mimi pia nikanyamaza. Bila nilisaa nikasema wacha tu nijaribu kwa simu yake, ikakuwa mteja.
Kati nze Victor okumunoonyesa naye nze Victor mwenyini simumanyi. Ate naye wawe mpulira buulizi mbu simanyi budokomi n'omuwala mwenyini tamanyiyo kati simanyi. Ate ku busungu bwe yalina yamenya layini n'agisuula kubanga bwe yamukubira esimu n'amugamba toddanga kuba ku simu yange eno, ne mugamba byesonyiwe biviireko ddala.
School activities resumed for candidate classes in October 2020. Betty returned to Uganda, heavily pregnant, and this could not allow her complete her studies. Betty's mother decries the debts and financial constraints she passes through to take care of both the daughter and grandson, all her savings in her grandson.
Mbona sirina kyendina buli kenkwatako kafa kati busente benabadde nabo kati we yazaala bonna nali nsikanga kipusawo olweggulo busente bonna bwe yalya nemugulirako ebintu nesigala nga sikyalina.
Hatuna saizi wanatudai tu pesa. Wanatudai pesa miezi 4. Kila mwezi tunalipanga mitalo 4 ya Uganda. That landlord pia alituambia kama tutaki kulipa pesa tutoke kwa nyumba zake. Sasa pia tulikaa tu.
The hopes of the young mother to become a teacher conveniently went into oblivion.
Sasa atanishika mimi ni mama tena nimerudi shuleni. Ndio maana mimi pia naogopa. Nakona plani ya kwenda kosi ya saluni.
Mbadde nsaba nkwatireko omwana ngaddeyo okusomera asome. Kubanga nze sirina kyendina kyensobola kugamba nti ndina sirina.
Bothered by what to do for this desperate soul, and with everything it has almost telling a story on its own, we seek to hear out from Victor Ocheng. And through our trusted source, we get his contact.
Sorry, the mobile subscriber cannot be reached. Samahani, mteja wa nambari uliyopiga hapatikani kwa sasa.
First attempt fails, we don't give up.
The person you have called is not reachable. We will notify you when the mobile subscriber is back. If you wish to leave a voice message, then please do so.
We still don't succeed. As the sun set that evening, the team and I had made a decision to hunt Victor down the next day. On the rise of the next morning, we attempt the hunt, counting on Betty to remember where they used to meet and take us there. We have to cross the border. Busia border is manned with tight security. Even taking a simple photo would land you into serious interrogation. For purposes of this documentation, my cameraman applies his spy tricks to capture. But first things first, we need cash. So we exchange Ugandan shillings for Kenyan shillings. At this point, we had to switch to a language best known here, Kiswahili.
Hizo? Kupata za Kenya? 300 ya Kenya. 300 ya Kenya.
Successfully enough, we managed to walk past the customs officers posing as local Busia dwellers who are up and about like any other.
Inaweza kunishuka pale Mondika watu watatu. Nataka pesa ngapi?
Hiyo mchukue tu shilingi 300.
300? Za Kiganda nikupe ngapi?
10,000 ya Uganda.
10,000 ya Uganda?
Si Mondika.
Watu watatu
hiyo nakosa nyingi.
We are told that the easiest means of transport to Mondika is by border, and we jump on one that charges us 100 Kenyan shillings each. As soon as we reach Mondika Trading Center, Betty tries to scratch her memory for traces of their meeting point, but all in vain. And this frustrates us for about an hour.
According to the information I got, this is Mateo's constituency. As you can see, I'm here with and that would be reasons why we crossed over, is to try and find Victor, the alleged boyfriend, who fled allegedly, because he hasn't been seen since April when she told him she was pregnant. And this is the trading center where they used to meet. She does not remember, or she does not know his whereabouts, or even her home. So we were trying to ask a few ladies. Melissa says she used to see them interact with him to try and trace his whereabouts, but they also haven't seen him since. And this looks like a dead end as well, unfortunately. So this is as far as we can go. Remember, we tried calling and we couldn't get through to him. So this is where it all ends. The efforts, for now, for trying to find Victor. We're heading back to Uganda now.
We now shift gears to assessing the compatibility of the approach to addressing the pandemic with sexual reproductive health and rights in this part of the country. Nanyama Bena, the acting district health officer of Busia, discloses that the teenage pregnancy prevalence levels in Busia rose drastically between the months of April to October from 29% against 25% nationwide, shooting to 31%. With this, among 15 girls aged between 14 to 16 years, 6 of them are pregnant or have at least one child.
All the young girls came home and they were out of school. And given the situation that Busia district is a border district, which is full of business, going Kenya to Uganda, most of these girls, when they came straight away, they started indulging themselves in business here and there. And because of that business of going to Kenya through Panyas, most of them have gotten a lot of problems. And since the lockdown took place, most of these girls were unable actually to report to health facilities. They were in their homes trying to make sure that they make ends meet.
Eric Omondi is a team leader at Alliance for Sustainable Health and Wealth in Africa, ASHWA, an NGO rooted in issues of adolescent health in Busia. He faults the scientific means of communication that were relied on during the lockdown, leaving adolescents in remote areas without reliable information.
Many of these young people, following the outbreak of COVID-19, they were left and cut off completely from most of the information channels. As you're aware, in our digital era, young people don't listen to the radio stations. And I remember, you might remember that His Excellency was having broadcast messages on TV. Here in Busia, I don't know how many households you will find with the TV. So many people were not able to access information on TV. Many people can't access information on radio. They rely on peer-to-peer, door-to-door kind of messaging. But with the lockdown measures, with the curfews, there was no way you could congregate. There was no way you could move to share this information. So with the lack of information, they had every choice they had to make right at their hands. So they were responsible for whatever action they wanted to make at that time without anyone guarding or anyone correcting them.
Namanya acknowledges the fact that the rate of school dropouts is yet to shoot so high in Busia due to teenage pregnancies and other effects of the widened SRHR gap in the border districts. They, however, have a plan to ensure that after giving birth, teenagers return to school promptly.
There are many girls who are pregnant but they are candidates. And now we are now saying, education officer, how are we going to deal with these girls? But already teachers are sensitized. They have said any girl who is pregnant and is going to do exams, P7, he should be allowed to do the what? Not to be chased away. But we want to engage them further to talk about these things of teenage pregnancy. It is not a chance gone, but a chance can be given to you and you make something productive.
Main Focus Nursery and Primary School, located in Busia, is another area of focus. We learn of 2 girls from the school who, like Betty, did not return to school because they conceived during the lockdown period.
According to the communication that I had with their parents, they got pregnant. So that was immediately when the schools opened. The parents, when I engaged them, plus together the children, they said they were not able to come. And when I told them that the government allows, if you are pregnant, you can come and partake your studies and do your final examination. No problem. So when I tried to gauge them, still they could not
Efforts by the director, Alassa Simon Peter, to have these girls continue with their studies, even in their situation, have since not materialized.
It is January 2021, and in Uganda, the continuing students are still stuck at home. And with the discussions coming from government, seems like it will be so for another 3 months. Now, this only clarifies that there are many Bettys out there, and these are adolescents that are still suffering the effects of how government is responding to the pandemic. This only shows and leaves us with a question of who is accountable. For Smart 24 TV, I'm Madrine Nabukera.